Thank you for coming on, man.
No worries, man. My pleasure.
So I thought we could get to know you. The audience could get to know you, and then we can move on to some more personal stuff.
All right, cool. So
Not too personal.
Yeah, like getting to know me is like what, just who I am, like what.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
All right. So pretty much, Kevin. Obvious. I was born in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
So 2002, and I migrated over here when I was like in year 7, when I was like 12, 13. And pretty much life story. I migrated over here because my mom got a scholarship, fortunately. And just pretty much that's all there is to know about me so far. It's just how I got over here.
From Zimbabwe. What is Zimbabwe like? Because I don't think anyone from Australia would truly know what it's like.
Yeah. Which is very evident from the year 7 to year 10 jokes, because everyone just thinks like Zimbabwe is just some like villages made out of mud. But it's a developing country, of course, but we're making it somewhere. But yeah, there are cities there. We do have sites. The Zambezi River. We got beautiful stuff out there. So yeah, it's modern, but we're working on it. It's not there yet, but we're getting there. Yeah, that's pretty much how it is.
And do you remember Zimbabwe?
Yeah, fortunately I was one of those ones who came when I was like 13. So pretty much half of my childhood was spent over there. So yeah, I remember it vividly. Yeah, it's very much right.
Do you like Australia more, or do you like Zimbabwe?
I like home more.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's home. But in terms of opportunity, it's better over here. But yeah, of course, it's no place like home. Yeah. But over here, opportunity is better. Yeah. But home was fun.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. So I just wanted to ask you, since you're in year 12, the coronavirus, how has that affected you and your year group?
Oh my God, man. All right, so didn't get me started. So pretty much leaving school, 3 months ago, I think? We left school 3 months ago, and then just being introduced to this whole Zoom thing. It's been tough because you got to motivate yourself. Yeah. Because it's like, as much as teachers want to tell you like, oh yeah, you're in year 12, you got to push yourself. Like, it's not the same. They're really the pushing factor. So like, how it affected me predominantly was just basically like waking up in the morning and being like, look, we got to do this somehow, one way or another. We got to do this. And like, one of the other issues as well being like, you have no one, like there's no teacher there like, oh miss, like I need help with this, like I need that. So yeah, that was one of the things that made it really difficult. And yeah, just trying to understand the content by yourself was really hard. It's kind of a thing where you have to motivate yourself. Yeah. And then it's the quarantine where you really see who cares and who doesn't. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. And I think just the other thing as well was just, because I'm not gonna lie, you kind of start slacking off a little bit. You don't have to wake up at 7 o'clock anymore. I'm pretty sure you're 11 students. I woke up at like 9. Like as soon as I woke up, it's schoolwork. Oh man, I wish I was like you. No way, bro. Because for me, the only reason I'd want to say I was still able to follow my schedule was because of my little brother, because he still had to go to school. So like, if it wasn't for him, bro, I'd probably be waking up at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon to do my stuff. So yeah, I'm really glad of that. But yeah, just motivating yourself was pretty much the main issue. Yeah, it's pretty much it. Were you going from 9 to 3? Because for me, like, I'll be honest, it was a sort of thing where as soon as it hit 3, or maybe as soon as it hit like 2:45, I'm like, no, I'm done. It's too tiring. Like, it's so fatiguing being by yourself and having to do the work by yourself. I'm a weird person because like a lot of people like to work. Here we go. A lot of people like to work during the afternoon. Yeah, but I can't. I work best at night. You're a night person, right? I'm a night person. So I could like I could go from like 1 a.m. to 5 in the morning and wake up like nothing ever happened. So like afternoon, I'll probably slack off a little bit, but it was more of a mixture of like I woke up at, let's say 9, to be honest. I wake up at 9 for a Zoom class, probably like a business Zoom class. That will go for like an hour and a half. You finish that, I go eat, I game a little bit, and then I jump on another class. But in terms of, that's only if there was classes on. But if I had no classes throughout the whole day, I would not even bother trying to like do my work in the afternoon. I'll just do it at night when I know I won't be distracted, because I'm one of those people. Yeah, and I feel like your year group has suffered the most, because this is your HSC year. This should be like going to school or working hard. The teachers are working hard with you, but it's a bit different. Yeah, I mean, statistically, we have suffered a lot, but pretty much people in our year group, they're pretty motivated, and like when they really want something, I'm pretty sure they'll strive for it, which is why like we haven't really I wouldn't say we've missed out on a lot of our work lately. We've just come back in and it's just like, look, this is what we need to do and we're going to do it, and because like if you know what you want, you're going to go for it. So that's pretty much it. Do you feel bad that you didn't really get to do like or take part in this school, like this year's school events, like, because it's your last year? I can't imagine being in your position, like missing the cross country and all that. because it's funny because last year it would be like, all right, I'll catch you at next year's cross country. You know,
and then there's no
there's no next year's cross country. It sucks because the leadership team, we were leadership year 12s. It's our last year, and we had a lot of things planned because we'd always look at previous years and be like, okay, cool, we can do this better, we can improve that better, and we're like, okay, cool, we have the chance to do so, and then
COVID just destroyed it.
It just hits.
Like,
you know?
there was only like one leadership meeting. Right?
Yeah, one leadership meeting. I think we only like one. I'm not gonna lie. I think we only had one event together, which was probably like us fundraising for the droughts. I think that the droughts. I think it was us fundraising for the droughts or something like that. Yeah, I think so. And then that was around the time you got your opportunity to go overseas to a meeting. Yeah.
Oh, that sucked. Not being able to go to America sucked.
Yeah, I felt bad for you. I was like, damn, bro. Like, honestly, like, how does that feel for you about like not being able to go?
Oh man, it just feels like someone said, oh, okay, you can go to America, you can do all this, and then it just gets snatched away. It was like I was gonna go to New York, Washington. It was, I felt like it was gonna be a life-changing experience, but you know, it is what it is. So
I want you to run me down on that though. Like, how like did you all of a sudden just go from like, you know, the kid you were before to who you are now? Because we all know where you were at.
Okay, you're interviewing me. All right, let's do this.
Like, let's swap roles for a bit because I know personally, I've had my few personal experiences with you, and like, I just want to know because all of a sudden it was just like, okay, this Ali's kid is going like America. I was like, Ali, whoa, which Ali? And then you popped up. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Since
so like,
when?
Is your question like, how did I change?
All right. Yeah. All right. I wrote it down.
Yeah.
Surprise. Right. But I had like, what made you want to change from the person you were before?
Okay.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
Yeah. No, I wasn't. All right. Tables have turned.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do have to give a huge thanks to my auntie, who's extremely supportive, and she's helped me along the way. I started off by putting a timer on my phone to like not like talk or be like extremely annoying for 5 minutes, then it would progress, and it's just over time. I guess I've just tried my hardest, and I'm so flattered to see that it's actually shown. So thank you. Yeah.
So okay, pretty much. So you would call like you call it like an identity crisis, of some sort. Like you were like, because you know we've all gone through it.
Yeah,
I've gone through it as well. I'm probably still going through it. I'm doing better right now. But it's like you think that like being that loud, obnoxious, funny person is what's really gonna get you there. But you know sometimes it's not meant for everyone.
Yeah,
it's definitely not meant for me.
No.
You know.
Yeah.
So do you reckon that was like the thing that was going on? You're like, okay, cool. Like, I want to be known.
Yeah.
But like, how you didn't know how to do it.
I wasn't as close to the people that I am close to now, and I guess it was just because of the whole obnoxious thing. But I don't know if it's because I decided to change. Maybe it's a coincidence that as soon as I decided to change, maybe that's when I psychologically matured. I'm not sure, but I'm just, all I can say is I'm glad that it changed. Yeah.
And just had a couple more actually. I think it was like okay. So I'm just gonna lay them down to you. What have been the benefits of expressing yourself, and what were the struggles of like you changing? Like, are you still facing any struggles right now?
Yeah, there are definitely some struggles. These are some good questions. Yeah. So I definitely felt that along the way I was extremely self-conscious of everything I did. Like if I said something that was stupid or like the old me, I was like, oh no, and I just feel bad about myself the entire day. Like if I said something stupid or a stupid joke in class, it probably wasn't anything. It was probably like once in a blue moon, but it just, I felt terrible. And I guess it kind of still happens today because I'm so
used to it. Like
not used to it, but like I want to be. This isn't a good thing, but I want to be liked and I want to be appreciated by people. So I guess whenever I do something, it's always like played in my head, and it turns into a bigger thing than it actually is.
And you know, you say that, and I can relate to you similarly because being in the position that I am at the moment, it's really hard to express yourself without disappointing other people.
I wanted to ask you, did you go through a change?
Yeah. So, oh my God. So pretty much, my older brother Hezza he was school captain.
Yeah.
So when he was back in like primary, like year 7 days.
Yeah.
And like pretty much through primary, I was like sort of like a version of you. Like I was just like obnoxious. Like my mom had pretty much kind of like lost hope, but she was still putting in effort as a mother. But like, you know, she had kind of just been like, okay, cool, this kid's just all right, we'll let him go. And like throughout the years, I've just always been like, okay, I'll join the leadership team. I'll be there. but I've just always been in the background. Like
you
like I wasn't like
the
I wasn't in the
school
front.
captain
Yeah,
that
I
you
wasn't
are
in
now.
the front.
Yeah,
I've always been in the background, and like by this I mean like I'd always have ideas,
yeah,
but I would just always be scared to them because I'm like I'm a shy person. As weird as it might sound, but I'm a shy person, and I've always had like ideas, but I never put them out. And then like when we got to like year 11 and they're like, okay, cool, we're selecting school captains. Like there was like a chance where I was like, okay, no, I don't want to do this because like I'm really shy.
What changed it for like? What made you want to do it?
It was just like the worst they can say is no. You know, like the worst they can say is
the
you
worst.
can't do
They
it.
can't. They can't shame you.
They can't
say
shame
no.
you for
You
anything.
didn't.
The worst they can say is no.
Yeah.
And it's weird because for my speech, I didn't write it down.
What was that like? What was the whole journey like? What was that whole process like?
I go for like going for school captain. Oh my god. Okay, so I didn't really share it because I was because of course not everyone's gonna see it from my perspective. So I tried to avoid other people's opinions, and I basically just went through it quietly. I saw people write their speeches. I was like, good for you. But like when I went up for my speech, I just told him, I was like, look, whatever I got to say right now comes from deeply from my heart. So if I don't make it, then, you know, it just wasn't meant to be. I think it was just that attitude that, you know what, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be.
And is it, do you have any advice for people who are going to be running for school captain in the future? Is that one of them?
Yeah. So for those who run, I've had kids come up to me and ask me like what I've done special. But like, it's just like when those teachers or like when your students, when they vote for you, it's purely based on your vibe. You can make up a speech, say you are intelligent, you're good at this, you're good at that. But the issue was that when you're put into the actual work field, like when you start as captain, you realize like, okay, cool, this is completely opposite to what I expected it to be, which was a shocking factor to me, because you can be good at talking, but as soon as I was put into that field where I had so many expectations and, you know, living up to other captains, what they've done, I think like the first term that hit hard.
Yeah.
Because everyone's different, but then when you're being compared to other people, and
it's hard. You almost feel like you have to compensate. Yeah.
Which is what it was like. I was like, it's sort of similar for you, where it's like, okay, cool, you're going to have to give up the old ways. You got to learn how to be someone new. But at the same time, you don't want to lose yourself for who you are.
Yeah, I felt like that was the thing for me. I wanted to be a different person, but I didn't want to put up an act and not be genuine to me, because
facade,
not only is it like disingenuous, but you can't be that act forever.
Yeah. So I can even tell you till today I'm still working on it, because I just learned how to just express myself for who I am. I've always been that people pleaser.
Yeah.
Oh, can you do this for me? In my head, no. Okay, cool, I'll do it for you. No worries. But that's recently have I learned that you can say no. And you know, to other people who might be listening to this, it might be like, okay, cool, I say no all the time. But to other people, it's genuinely difficult to say no to other people or have an opinion of your own, because, you know, there's always going to be that one thing that everyone hates, and you're just going to hate it. You don't have any particular reason why. You're just going to hate it because everyone else hates it. And the good thing about, you know, just being your own person is being able to differentiate, like, okay, cool, like, I don't hate this, I'm going to go for it. Although, like, you don't conform to the norm, is what I would tell to kids who are going to go out and be school captain. Like, don't conform to the norm. Do what you feel like is right. And, you know, work with your team, of course, which is going to be, like, really hard. Because even until today, we're still working on how to get together as a group. Worse, with that COVID hit, we haven't even been able to sit down together and talk.
Yeah.
So for those who are going up there to be like school captain or not, don't do it because it sounds nice. Do it because you genuinely want to, and like be ready for like trauma. Like it's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really hard. I'm not gonna lie to you.
What are some of the expectations that you've mentioned?
Okay, so behavioral wise, they expect you to be like a princess.
Yeah.
You know, like to be like some, which is impossible, of course. Like
but can you really blame them for wanting you to behave like?
To behave,
obviously, they don't want an idiot.
Yeah, that's true. But behavioral wise, they expect you to be, you know, someone of tip-top condition.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be doing everything, which is, you know, inhuman. But you know, you gotta try your best.
Yeah.
But along the way, sometimes you got to stop being harsh on yourself and realize, okay, cool, I'm human, I made a mistake. By realizing that you've made a mistake is probably the most important thing. So that's one of the expectations. One of the expectations, roughly from like the public, you're gonna, you need to get used to being compared to other people. Oh man, you laugh at it, especially from the kids. It hurts, but they laugh comparing you. Oh my God, this school captain did that. How come you can't do this? And it's really, for me, it was really hard because like I was genuinely trying my best to make assemblies entertaining for kids. But, you know, there's just that one good person who was really good at what they were doing. And, you know, the kids really love that person. They expect that person to be in you, and I can't do that. I'm different to those other people, and I want to do things the way that they please me and how I can do them. So that was just one of those. That's one of those things you gotta remember when you're going up there. Don't lose yourself in the process.
Don't try and
don't try
please people. Yeah,
don't try and please people, because what happens was you end up being frustrated.
Yeah,
you get frustrated and it drains you. Especially for me, it drained me, and then just like you just end up lashing at other people who don't even deserve, to be lashed at.
And has that happened?
Yeah, of course it happened. It has happened numerous occasions. I'm never gonna act like a lie. And one thing for me is like I'm fortunate enough that in the leadership team I've got honest people. So I've got people who tell me like, okay, cool, mate. Like,
so you like your team not being filled with yes men?
Yeah, which is really good. Yeah, yes man, pretty much just a slang term, like yes man. That's what I really like. Like, recently it's just been like, look, you're kind of going insane, bro. Like, calm down, and you need that. Yeah. It's not bad, to go insane, but it's good to have someone who tell you like, okay, cool, you need to calm down. Like, we're not here to work for you. We're here to work for the good, like for the better of the school.
Yeah,
you need that sort of person. And if you can't take criticism, I don't think it's a position you'd want to go for.
Yeah, I think it's something where you have to always remind yourself that this is for the school.
Yeah,
like this is for the betterment of the school. Yeah.
It's a position where you want to like just be reminded like, okay, cool. Everyone else here wasn't forced to join. Yeah. They joined because they wanted to better the school. Who am I to try and take away from that?
Yeah.
A lot of people, like a lot of kids who have come up to me, like it's always been how'd you do it, but it's never been like how does it feel? Like how was like the trouble of getting there? It's always like I feel like a lot of people like to hear it.
Yeah.
But they're not down for like what comes with it. If that makes sense.
That makes sense.
It makes sense.
Do you think that it's on the outside it looks like a great position, but is there more than meets the eye?
Yeah, there's more than okay. So yeah, there is it's that thing where it's like it looks good to look at, but like what you have to go through it for it to look that good.
Yeah,
that type of thing. Like everyone's gonna be like, I want to be a doctor because they make good money, but the process,
the amount of hours you have to spend in school,
and no one wants to see that. No one wants to be faced with the reality of being, not even just being school captain, but being in the leadership in general.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They want the status without sometimes
the hard work.
But it's human nature. Sometimes you wanna you look at the great things that are in front of it, but you
forget like how they got there.
Yeah,
and a lot of struggles, especially for me as well, just like sort of your process. It's like there's a lot of like you want to be cool. Not gonna lie, like you want to be a cool kid.
Yeah,
being in the leadership team isn't such a cool thing, I mean, in other schools, they might appreciate it's a cool thing, but over here, it's not really like, oh yeah, he's cool because he's in the leadership team.
Yeah.
So getting over that and being like, yeah, I want to be a part of it because I want to be a part of it. That's something else you need to consider. That's another hardship of going to that position. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And so year 12, besides the whole COVID thing, right?
Yeah.
How has year 12 been for you? Is it something that's much more confronting than year 11? How is it? What's the difference between year 12 and year 11?
Okay. That lie you told you, I don't know if you told yourself, but I used to lie to myself and be like, oh, in year 12, I'm going to like start putting in more effort. I'm going to bludge in year 11.
Yeah.
It's been completely the opposite.
So
it's been completely opposite. Like when you think like, okay, I'm going to start being serious. But the only difference between year 11 and year 12 for me is just when you were in year 11 and you heard the word HSC, you drop, you're like, whoa, what is that? Like, you didn't want to hear about it. It was like to me, it was one of the scariest things because I want to make it somewhere in life. So like hearing about the HSC, that really scared me. But then now that I'm confronted with it, I'm happy. Like it's not as confronting as it used to be before.
Yeah. Because
you realize that like there's ways of going around it, if that makes sense. So that's just one of the things. Like I feel like it's just a bit exaggerated.
The HSC.
It's just a bit like it scares kids a lot. Like the way like some people put it, the way it's worded to you, it makes it sound like it's the scariest thing. But it's really not.
It's not?
It's not. Like, honestly, if I could tell, like, some of the year 11s, like, okay, cool. Like, they will ask me about, like, the year 12. I'm just like, bro, it's just the same thing as year 11. It's just any other exam. You sit down and you do your exam. If you know what you're doing, if you study and you know what you're doing, you should be pretty confident because it's not indifferent.
That makes sense.
Because they tell you what's in the exam. They tell you like today you're gonna do this, tomorrow you're gonna do that, and they give you like a whole term for it.
So it's just like any other exam. There's
like
no
any other exam, you know. And that's like one thing you have to get over your nerves, because a lot of people are scared to fail. I'm one of those people who are scared to fail. As soon as you get over your nerves, you're like, okay, cool. This is just like schoolwork. It's all right. Yeah. It's one of those things.
I also wanted to talk to you about your journey, because you've come from Zimbabwe to Australia, and then you've obviously had a journey that has led to you being the school captain. Walk us through some of the highlights or the big points of your journey and how you came to be in the position that you are in now.
Okay. One of my highlights is probably, so I'll go by year, let's say year 7, probably bullying. I was a pretty small kid. 150, short hair, glasses. You know that girl. I was a pretty short kid, so I was easy to pick on. So for me, being able to stick up to the people who bully me, not like by fighting them, but just by like telling my teacher that I need help. And I think that's a highlight to me, because that's like one of the first times I ever reached out for help, because it's really hard to reach out for help.
Yeah, because people think that if I reach out for help, then I look weak. But no, that's not the case.
So getting over my masculinity at year 7 and being like, okay, I genuinely need help. I went and asked for help. And it's funny because like those kids who bullied me, I'm like best friends with them. Like I still know them till today. Like we've gotten closer because of the whole situation. So in year 7, that was one of my biggest highlights.
Were you here in year 7?
No, I was in Chester Hill. I was in Chester Hill. I was in the ISC. Yeah, I moved over here in year 9. So I was in Chester Hill. So Chester Hill was like pretty much where everything began for me. That's like home, like my first home here, Chester Hill. So year 7, that was that. And then I think just like moving here was another highlight for me, because I used to be a really prejudiced person. Yeah.
Well, in what sense?
In the sense of that I listen to what someone says. I'm like, okay, cool, this is definitely how it goes. I wouldn't want to experience it for myself. To make my own opinion on it. You know?
You mean I think the word you're looking for is impressionable?
Yeah, sorry, I said that. So like someone would tell me something and I'm like, okay, cool, I don't want to experience it for myself. I think he's weird, then he's weird. You know what I mean? So coming to the school was a massive change coming from Chester Hill, because the behavior, the attitude, the way things run around here, it's very different. So at some extent, I sort of felt like, I'm better than everyone, you know? And I was like, that turned out not to be the complete opposite. That attitude where I was like, I think I'm better than everyone, really took me nowhere. Until I sat down with like some of the boys that I consider my mates to today, and had a conversation with them and got to hear where they came from, what they're going through. And then I became friends with them. I adjusted to the culture and I started to love the school so much. So that's one of those things as well. So coming to Linear High School was definitely an opening factor of realizing like you just don't have to be so judgmental. Everyone goes through their own thing. You just got to listen to their side of the story and understand where they're coming from, and then it all makes sense. You're not better than anyone. No one's better than anyone.
And what was the... So you know how in every motivational movie or drama movie, there's always that one point where the protagonist realizes that they need to change. What was that moment for you?
I sat down with one of my close mates, Angela, and she told me like, bruv, your attitude, it's not going to take you anywhere. And it's weird because we used to hate each other. We hated each other. And for her, as a person who hated me, to sit down with me and be like, look, this is what needs to change, that was an opening
That must
factor.
be powerful.
Yeah,
someone
powerful.
Who doesn't even like
someone
you.
Someone who doesn't like you. Someone who
advice.
doesn't like you goes out of their own way to call you and go like, okay, bro, you got issues. This is how you need to do it. And of course, it wasn't just like her telling me I need to do it, but it was like I stuck to it. Like, okay, cool. Let me just, if I change this, let's see what will happen. And I was like, okay,
so it was a trial and error thing?
It was a trial and error type thing, because of course, like people tell you things, but you don't necessarily have to listen to it. And for her, it was powerful from my end, because we had no relations. We didn't like each other. And for her to go like, okay, cool, like I really see something in you, but this has to change. That for me was like, okay, cool. Like some people in the school actually genuinely care, because you don't really see that sort of behavior around it's just like, okay, cool, I'm cool. It's like you know, like that type of attitude. But for her to do that for me, that's where I went like, okay, cool, I need to change.
How long did it take you to actually make that change or see the change?
I'm still working on it until today.
Yeah. No, that's
it's something
honest,
that's been perfected. Yeah. It's I think year 9. Okay, let's say it started year 10. I actually started to socialize with the rest of the other people in the group.
Yeah.
You know, because I'd only been like close to like 1 or 2 people. I was a new kid, of course. It was just like that stigma. But yeah. Sorry, excuse me. But yeah, it started year 10. Then I actually started to interact with other people, and you know that was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know about you, but I feel like this school is different from other schools because I feel like this school actually cares, and the people in it they're pretty good.
Yeah, there's been moments like you got the situation where those houses burned down, and you know we've somehow managed to raise up like almost, I think, a grand,
that was
$5,000 or something. Yeah,
so wholesome.
Yeah, that one of those moments. Yeah, and it's true. And you can genuinely see that through like the passion of like handball around the school. Like handball has become something that's so passionate. But the school, it really, really does care. If there is an opportunity to show love, they both hands they grasp it, and they do their best. And and I'm really proud.
And you're the school captain.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And there's that too. But yeah, school really genuinely cares, and that's something that's really close to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing I wanted to touch upon was so since you're a person from Zimbabwe, right? I'm as a person who's from Iraq and from a less advantaged country. I haven't in my daily life in Australia like faced racism or prejudice from other people. Have you? Can you say the same?
But the thing is with me, I've sort of just adapted this whole like mentality where it doesn't bother me. Like racism to me is funny. It's as sad as it might sound, it becomes funny because genuinely people say those hurtful things. Like for example, it might sound really stupid, but when someone says something hurtful and you laugh at it, it makes them feel weird. Like, okay, what's going on over here? And that's one thing I learned because I used to, of course, going through year 7, being one of the only black kids in the school, like when one of the only black kids or African kids in school, it's weird. Kids aren't used to that, so they're gonna have something to say. Oh, so do you guys have water back at home? Do you do all those kind of jokes? But then it used to hurt me. I realized like, look, I can't control it, you know, and you're just gonna have to get used to it because this is how it is. So just that attitude of being like, look, you can say it, like you're gonna say it, but it's not gonna affect me. That's when it all stops. For me, that's when like sort of like people
when you buy into the joke, or when you don't really,
then you don't react to it.
It just dies.
Yeah, if I called you ugly and you didn't react, tomorrow I'm gonna come back with something better. If you know what I mean, like I'm gonna call you ugly, and you're like, okay,
or you just might stop like, okay, this guy's not giving me a reaction. On to the next week.
On to the next joke, and that was just one of those things. It was like, okay, cool. Like half of these kids as well, the ones who are racist, they don't even mean it. They just think it's funny.
Yeah.
And they think it's cool. And then you start to feel sorry for them because you're like, bro, if you really think that's what's cool, then like, you know, I started to feel bad for the kids who are racist to me. Yeah. Because behind the scenes they weren't racist. Yeah.
Because like it gets to a certain point where the people who are bullies, the people who are mean, and I'm sure the people who make the jokes are not really bullies. They're just like making stupid jokes, but they kind of do those things because, you know, maybe things aren't right at home. Maybe they've been neglected. Like there are some things you don't see behind the scenes.
And it's one of those things as well. I was having a really massive debate that a lot of people, you have a lot of kids with issues, and you know sometimes they walk out of class. Yeah. And you know you sit there and then you start complaining like, oh, how come they get to walk out of class? And then it's not until you get to listen to their crippling depression or like their stories about how they have anxiety and that, and then you go, oh, okay, that's why they walk out of class. Yeah. So it's one of those things as well with your bullies, as hard as it is, you just need to understand like, okay, cool, man, half of the time you don't really genuinely mean that something's wrong. And just a simple question like, are you all right? Is something that will just like spark a conversation you never thought you'd had with someone. That's why like sometimes you hear people are like so close to their bullies because genuinely sometimes their bullies are just someone who really likes them, but they just don't know how to go about it because they've never been taught how to love, you know? Yeah. You get that thing? Yeah. And that was with me as well. The person who was bullying me, they just genuinely weren't used to just being loved or having someone to have a normal conversation. It was just always like aggression.
Yeah.
And that's how they were taught to show love. So yeah, anyone out there is getting bullied, sometimes it's just a matter of just asking, like, is everything okay at home? Yeah, but for you, you're fortunate enough to not have to experience that type of like.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
Yeah, you're one of those fortunate people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know people who aren't even like overseas, but they still face bullying, and it's just a question of just asking, is everything okay? Yeah. But I think I had a couple more questions actually.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So you said that your struggles were facing was just like are you hard on yourself? In terms of this, just like in general, like are you hard on yourself?
In terms of like maturing and changing.
That's like just in general, like I'll say maturing and changing.
In general, like
are you just? Because for me, I'm like if nothing's perfect, I sort of just like.
Are you that type of person?
Yeah. It's bad. Like if something goes wrong, I'll sit there and analyze it for bits.
Yeah, I guess I can say the same. Like the only situation that it's most evident that I know is when something goes wrong. When maybe I've said something like a stupid joke, or maybe someone's reacted to me in a way, like maybe like in an annoyed way. It's kind of it goes into your mind, and then it builds up over time. And yeah, sometimes I just got to remember, if I say a corny joke or say something that might be annoying, I just got to remember that it happened once. They probably really don't care. If someone reacted in an annoying way, in an annoyed way, then it's probably just probably might be having a bad day. Like it's not always what you think is going on in your mind. And for something that if something goes wrong, I guess it's hard because it goes into your mind and it just turns into this giant thing, where in reality it's just a small little issue. Would you say the same? Or?
You just gotta you like end up like making scenarios that would never even happen.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I meant it. But yeah. So just away from this really serious and deep stuff, what do you want to do after school?
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you that as well.
Yeah,
so
what do you
I'll
want
ask
to do
you
after
after. But I definitely know I want to go to uni.
It's a start. Yeah.
Probably something in the physics field. I like physics. Yeah. You don't like physics? You're not a math guy?
My mom's a physics teacher. It's so bad because
really?
my mom's a physics teacher. Like my mom's really smart, and then you got me.
Yeah.
So it's like science was ruined for me in year 9. I just never liked science. Like we had like one of the worst teachers in science, man.
That's the thing sometimes. If you have like whether you like a subject or not sometimes depends on the teacher.
Yeah.
Because if you really dislike the teacher, then you might you're not gonna like the subject.
Science was just like no. Like I remember giving me like when I was choosing my year 11 subjects, like the science side, I was just like I don't even want to look at it. Not doing science. Yeah. So you want to do something.
How'd your mum feel about that?
She hates it. She hates me for it.
Yeah.
Because I think we had we had this physics section in our science exam, and like my mom came past for the parent teacher night, and then the teacher sat down. It's like, okay, cool. Like Kevin's really doing bad at this and that, so like he needs to improve it. Like especially with his physics and that, he needs to work on it. And my mom looked at me. She was like, "You know I'm a physics teacher, right?" And the teacher looked at me. Yeah. And the teacher looked at me. She's like, "Oh my god, your mom's a physics teacher. How come you're failing?" I'm just like there's also that thing where it's like you don't want to ask help. Especially with school-related stuff, like me being like my background, like, we're not doing homework anymore. Like it's gonna be violent because my mom's so impatient. Like if I don't get like something right, she's gonna get so angry, and I'm just like, I don't want to go through that. Yeah. So my mom does physics and that, and I'm just like, I'm not into it at all.
But what do you want to do when you get out of school?
I think business has been one of those things I've wanted to do, especially like probably like management. I'm looking forward to owning my own business. Hopefully, I was really into shoes back then, so I wanted to have my own shoe business. Like
that, have you heard of like the Sneaker Don?
No.
So there's this like teenage kid who like
sells
sneakers to like celebrities.
Yeah. Those type of Benjamin Kicks and them people.
Those guys.
I don't know. I mean,
more of a professional thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, more of a professional because those guys are really good at because those guys they sell like high end luxury sneakers. Yeah, that's the difference. And you need to know your sneakers well, and I'm not really bothered to sit there and analyze. If I'm not into, I'm into shoes, but I'm not that into shoes.
So like more of a sneaker shop,
like a sneaker, like something like Foot Locker, Foot Locker, but just on the low key, like something just there. and I want to be able to own that. And it's been one of my dreams. Hopefully, it will happen.
Okay. And how do you think you're gonna get there?
Just patience and dedication. Because I'm one of those people who just goes, "Oh, this isn't working out, so I'm gonna like psych it." Do you do that? Like when you're learning something new, I'm impatient. I'll learn something new, and if I don't get it the first couple goes, I'm like, nah, psych it. I'll go do something else.
I wouldn't say I'm that type of person, but I can definitely see how that might happen.
Yeah,
definitely.
But then like sometimes I just gotta force myself to do it. But yeah, I'm that type of person.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Not so good.
We're
allowed to shake hands.
Yeah. Coronavirus.
Coronavirus is what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, like the whole podcast thing. I know it might be, kids might look at you weird and say like, why are you doing it? But trust me, when things start to flourish, they're gonna be there telling you they're the biggest fans. So like, just keep doing what you're doing. All right.
I will.
That's why I'm here. I respect what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Sorry.